So you've probably all got a little note on your screen saying, I can't remember, yes or no, or something along those lines, it says, doesn't it?
Got it.
That's it, got it. I knew it was something like that.
Got it.
So welcome everyone this evening, and thank you for taking time out of your glorious evening here in the UK, because if you've got a nice little bit of shade, there can be a nice little breeze in the lovely warm, and it's quite nice here. So thank you for taking time out to come and spend the next hour with me talking about the menopause. So, oh, I know what I meant to do. I will do it later. Now, some of you know me, some of you don't. So I will just give you a brief background, a brief introduction to me and my background, so you have an idea of who I am, where I am, what it is that I do or have been doing. Some of you have heard this before. So you can actually follow me on Facebook if you want to. That's really cool. I have a hypnosis group called Positive Hypnosis. Some of you are members in that group. You can just click the join button and I'll be happy to have you within the group. It's a support group for hypnotherapists. We do lots of different things in the group. At the moment, we've got a Challenge 90 thing going on where people that have decided to join in have been challenged to spend 90 minutes a week focusing completely on their business, not in their business, and moving themselves and their businesses forward. And that's going really, really well. We have a monthly springboard meeting where we discuss a specific topic. Now, for those of you that are in the group, it's not next week, it's the week after. I'm away next week, so it's the week after. You will be getting an email. I think it's tomorrow, actually, the email's coming out. I can't remember what I've decided we're going to talk about. It's something to do with, oh, I know what it is. It's about Facebook engagement, about getting people engaged on your posts. That's what we're talking about. And it's a good Zoom session where we help each other and exchange ideas. It's not all me talking. It is very much a collaboration between everybody saying, well, I've had this idea. What about this? What about that? We could do this, we could do that. It's an exchange of ideas, which is a great thing. And it is proving very popular. So if you would like to join me there, please feel free. So today, we will be talking about some information on the menopause. We'll be talking about some symptoms. We'll be talking about some of the common triggers. And I'll be doing a little bit of hypnosis towards the end for you. And I can already see Alison smiling, going, yes. That is partly for yourself if you want to have it for yourself, but it is also partly for you to have an idea of the kind of things that you can do in hypnosis with clients with the menopause, and some of the things or the terminology that you can say, that you can use, that's a good idea to use. So I used to be a primary school teacher. I taught primary school for 13 years, and I taught from reception all the way up to year 6, and I probably did more year 6 than anything else, actually, to be fair. It wasn't my favourite, but it was where I ended up most of the time. My favourite is year 1. I used to love year 1 because you can have so much fun with year 1. You can tell them all the stories and you can really get involved in it. And they sit there and they put themselves into a trance. You see them sat in front of you and they're like, well, if that's not a trance, I don't know what is. You know, and they're really engaged with you, and they're right there in with a second, and you can tell them anything and they believe you. That's what I still love doing. But of course, time moved on and I decided that I did not want to teach full-time anymore. I taught part-time for a long time, and alongside that I did my hypnosis training back in 2011 and became a hypnotherapist, but I did the two for some time. It wasn't until 2015 that I'd actually built up my business enough to be able to leave teaching, or teaching children, I should say, to become a full-time hypnotherapist. And to be fair, I'd given myself a year. 2014, I gave myself a year to build it up enough to leave, because I knew that my time with school teaching was drawing rapidly to a close. You can kind of, those of you that either know teachers or have taught yourself will probably understand, you can kind of feel it building on the inside. You kind of know that your time in there is getting to that point where you're just going to wake up and go, I'm done. And you know, it happens to a lot of teachers. I suspect it happens to a lot of other professions too, but I don't have experience of other professions. But I do know a lot of teachers have done exactly the same thing as I did. I woke up one morning and went, that's it, I'm done. I really am done. I just can't do this anymore. And it's almost like a switch goes off at night, right in the middle of the night somewhere, which is why I'd given myself a year to get my business up and running enough to be able to do that, because I could feel it coming internally. I work from a very old wellbeing centre in the old part of Swindon, that is just off junction 16 of the M4. So the building that I work in is a really old one. Nothing is level, nothing is straight, nothing is square. There's no square rooms. It's all the ceilings are all higgledy-piggledy, and it has character. Let's put it this way, I don't like being in there on my own at night when it's dark. I look at it and go, oh, I couldn't cope with this. I don't work that late anymore. I used to work to sort of 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night sometimes, and I can't do that. I hated being the last one. And one of the guys that I used to know that worked there for a while, he used to sleep there overnight. I was like, oh, really? I don't think I could cope with that. I said, don't you get it's creepy? He went, no, I just go to sleep. I was like, oh, I wouldn't have done that. But anyway, moving on. So we are here because we want to learn some more about hypnosis and menopause. I did my training with a local school, Karen, not the Clifton practice. I am one of the only ones in this entire Wiltshire area that is not solution focused. Most therapists in my area are, and I'm one of the only ones that's not. Excellent. So, and we'll leave that there. I know Yvonne and I have had a long conversation about this, because Yvonne also lives in Swindon, and we had a lovely cup of coffee or a cup of tea a while ago, and we had a good old conversation about different types of training. But we'll park the whole training issue there, because there are good and bad trainers across the board. Doesn't matter what kind of discipline you are in. There are good and bad across the board.
No, I was just interested.
Mine was it was a really long title. The therapeutic arts of science, something along them lines. It's really long. Really long. It was a different school.
Different school.
So
thank you.
You are welcome. It's Tuesday night and you're taxing my brain. So the actual usage of hypnosis for menopause has actually been quite well documented. It's actually been clinically proven by what the first research that I came across was the Baylor University in America did their research back in 2012. Now that was the same year, incidentally, that I had a hysterectomy, which actually was the very trigger that put me into looking into hypnosis for hot flushes. Because I'm lying there in the hospital bed the day after my operation going, I ain't doing this hot flush rubbish. I am not doing that. It's not for me. I'm a hypnotherapist. I can do this. Surely you can do this. I actually had no clue whether you could or not. I just thought that you should be able to. And you know what, as hypnotherapists, I think that's all we need, is just that thought that, well, we should be able to do this, so we're going to do it. Because you know as well as I do, the mind is extremely powerful. And if we think we can do something, we will do it. We can do it.
Oh, sorry, Helen, what was the place in America?
It's the Baylor University in America. Baylor. It was Professor Gary Elkins. And their study looked into I can't remember the exact title, but it was along the lines of the effectiveness of hypnosis upon hot flushes. That's roughly what the title was. So they used just pure relaxation for a month with their ladies. And they discovered at the end of the month that the ladies had a 70% reduction in the intensity of the heat of those hot flushes, which was fantastic, which is great. All they'd done was just pure relaxation at this point. Well, that's all they did actually, full stop. They followed up with the same group of ladies 3 months later to find that had gone up to 80%. So 3 months later, they'd obviously still been using the hypnosis recordings in between, and the effectiveness had gone up to 80%, but they'd also discovered by that time that some of the ladies were able to reduce the amount of hot flushes and night sweats that they were experiencing. Okay, so they noticed massive amounts of difference and change just by using hypnosis. And to be fair, when I wrote the program back in Christmas 2014 and I tested it in the January of 2015, my results very much mirrored theirs. I'd love to say theirs mirrored mine, they copied my idea, but no, it was the other way around.
Sorry, Helen, just to double check, this is without any medical intervention like HRT we're talking, aren't we?
I'm going to assume so. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I would think if they're having HRT, I would actually, to be fair, if it's a clinical study, it'd have to be, because otherwise they wouldn't know what was giving the effect. They'd have to be.
Yeah, I'm going to have a look at this Baylor thing then, because for me, 5 years ago, going on to the HRT, the dual HRT patches substantially reduced my hot flushes, which is the reason I'm asking.
It can't be. They must have been completely on nothing, because otherwise they wouldn't get true results, would they?
No.
So they must be. I'd call them clean. They'd have to. So when I did my trials on the program, what I'd actually written, the skeleton of what I'd written, and at this point I hadn't really researched it that much. I just had this brilliant idea in my head and I thought it should be possible, so I was going to go out and try it. That was it. That's all I did. So I had quite a few. I can't remember how many people I had. I think I had about 80 altogether. So a nice little number of ladies, and we did the first session. They started to come back saying, yes, we've managed to reduce the intensity of some of the hot flushes. Great, because that was all I was focused on. It hadn't entered my head at this point that we would be able to start eliminating some of them. When you look back now, when I look back now 6 years later, I think, God, you were a bit thick there, Breward, weren't you? Of course, they started then coming in and saying, yes, but I'm not having so many as well. I'm only having, let's say, 10 during the day instead of 15 or 20. I'm only having one night sweat instead of 3 or 4. So they started coming in saying that. And the first one, I just thought, yeah, okay, this is a fluke. And then the second one said the same. And then the next one, and the next one, and then the next one. So when people repeatedly say the same thing, you can't really ignore it after that many occurrences, can you? So that was great, because that proved what I'd thought was possible actually was possible. And that was all I was after. That was fantastic. So we got a lot of publicity about that during that whole year of using hypnosis for menopause. Yes, Bonnie.
Did the group, the ladies that you worked with, the 80 ladies that you worked with, were any of those on HRT?
No.
None of them. Okay.
No. Most of the ladies that I work with, and most of the ladies, in fact probably all of them that I work with and my therapists work with, have already done HRT. They've either come off it for whatever reason, or they can't take it, and that's why they come to us, because they, for some reason, they either don't want to take it, or they can't take it, or they've been told they've got to come off it, or they've decided to come off it. More often than not, that's what's happened, and they're not usually on HRT.
Would
If
they have been taking anything else, like any other supplements or anything to manage HRT?
They might have done, but quite often if they've come to us, it's because they've tried everything else and it's not really worked, or it's not worked very well.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Bonnie?
Yeah, that's fine. So I'm a specialist in menopause. I'm a nutritional therapist. So
Yes, I know you are.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know if you knew who I was.
We have met.
Yes, I know. I just didn't know if you remembered who I was. So it was just out of curiosity, really, just to understand if they were taking supplements at the same time, because obviously that potentially might have had an impact on it as well.
It might have done. And some ladies do take a few supplements. Sometimes there was a thing a while ago where it was
magnesium. Red clover. Yeah,
magnesium's a current popular one, isn't it?
Yeah.
But sometimes they have to find their own way, and the purpose of this is that we help them to find their own way, because this is not just about hypnosis. This is about an holistic approach. So we get clients to look at lots of different things, not just give them hypnosis to listen to. So it's a very rounded approach. We get them to think about what it is that they're eating, what they're putting into their bodies, what they're doing, and all that sort of thing as well.
Okay.
So it's a big approach.
Lovely, thank you.
Okay, so the menopause itself is when ladies cease to be fertile, when they can't have children anymore. That's it in a nutshell. Now, that age range, the average age for menopause is 51. But when we're looking at a client base, we are looking at that 45, 55 age range usually. That's where most of those ladies are going to fall into, that age range. Now, you will get some either side of that, probably more the lower end than the higher end, but you are likely to get people either side of that. I think the oldest one I've had was in her late 60s. She might have even been in her early 70s. I can't remember now because it was a while ago. But you will still hear of people, of ladies still dealing with hot flushes and all that sort of thing into their late 70s. I heard of one a while ago that was 80, in her 80s, and she's still dealing with hot flushes. So for some people, it feels like a volcano erupting from the inside. For others, it feels like somebody's just turned the heating up. Some people just feel they glow a bit, a tropical moment. Others feel it very different. So we cater for what our client needs, and we cater to the words that they use. Now, quite often, the one I hear the most is a tropical moment. I'm having a tropical moment, Helen. The best one I've heard is an exaggerated blush. I think that's great. I really do think that's a really cool. I don't think I'm ever likely to hear it again, to be honest, but I do think it's a great way of describing it. An exaggerated blush, Helen. So, everybody will describe it differently. And of course, being therapists, we need to use the same language that they are using. So whatever language they use to describe their hot flushes is the language that we use to describe it back to them. Because there's no point, Linda, saying that volcanic experience that you feel erupting from the inside, if she describes it as a tropical moment. It's not going to have any impact at all, or the impact is going to be reduced, shall we say. So we use their language, and it is always interesting to find out how people describe it, the way they describe it. So the common symptoms are things like the hot flushes, the night sweats, anxiety. Quite often, not always, but quite often, the anxiety that a lot of ladies experience during menopause can often be because of the hot flushes. As in, what if I have a hot flush while I'm stuck in a shop and I can't get out? Or what if I'm in a meeting and I can't get out? So it's quite often, it's not always, but quite often, it's that thought process that goes through those clients' head that actually feeds into those hot flushes and the anxiety. Okay, does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah. Helen, I just last week I was in Boots in Huddersfield, and the poor lady, I think she was in her 50s, she was having a hot flush. She wasn't on HRT and everything. She felt so embarrassed. She was serving me. Yeah. Number 7 counter. Poor lass, she was absolutely sweating, and it wasn't warm out. Yeah. And I just said to her, well, I shouldn't have done. If I'd have had this training before, I would have said, I'm a hypnotherapist, come and see me. I said, get on HRT, love. Sorry.
No, it's absolutely fine. Yeah, you're right. You know, you see many ladies really dealing with it, and it's that, you know, it's the embarrassment for a lot of ladies, and it's that anxiety about the embarrassment that quite often causes a lot of the problems that feed into all that anxiety, you know, especially if you're, you know, for instance, I'm using this as an example because this was one of the clients that was on the trial that I did. She had her own business, and she used to do an awful lot of meetings. She used to conduct an awful lot of meetings. Now, meetings are quite often held in closed rooms. Sometimes, if you're lucky, there's a window. Sometimes, if you're not, you're in a dark room. Got to put all the lights on, which again increases the heat in the room. And of course, if there's a lot of people in there, then that increases the heat in the room too. And if you're conducting the meeting, you can't very well say, just hold on a second, I'm going to disappear for 10 minutes while I stand at the door and cool myself right down. And it's that embarrassment if you go beetroot red, or if your skin changes colour, it's that embarrassment of all of the redness and the dripping sweat that quite often runs down and drips off your chin, down the back of your neck, you know. And Penny's quite right. If there's a window, you can open the window, you can crack the window. If there's a door, you might be able to open the door a little, but it depends what kind of meeting you're in. If you're in a private meeting, you might not be able to, because what you might be discussing might be confidential. There might be, you'd like to hope in this day and age that there's some sort of air conditioning in the room, but not always.
Helen, sorry again to interrupt. The first thing I said to this lady in Boots was, you want to ask your managers to bring you a fan on the till. And it got me thinking, actually, when you think how many people in businesses, in those meeting rooms, in business, doesn't matter what position they are in business, there's going to be a lot of women in there that are suffering hot flushes. Okay. And when and where do employers cater for that and help them with putting fans up? Or like you say, you know, a lot of businesses don't have air conditioning. They should be supporting.
There was a report I was reading the other day about that thing, and it was about the problem that a lot of big businesses, big companies, corporate companies, are starting to have now with their older female employees who have climbed the corporate ladder but have now got so far they can't climb any further because their promotion is coinciding with this age range where they're starting to go through the menopause, and if their symptoms are too bad, they can't cope with the symptoms and the job at the same time. So they're starting to feel the repercussions of not having not so necessarily a policy, but not having an awareness and making not excuses, not leeway, I can't think of the right word, making room, that's not the right one either.
Allowances.
That's it, allowances for those ladies in that position. Because, and I've said this before, there's been research before to show just how much is being taken out of the workforce from ladies of that age range who are having to leave the work because they simply cannot cope with the menopause and work at the same time.
And sadly, that will then impact on mental health.
Yeah, it does. It has a massive impact. And Bonnie's just saying she's done some work with large companies and they're trying to help. And this is what the study was saying, that they're trying to bring in now an awareness, but there is not enough support.
No, it's true. I've been asked to go into quite a couple of large companies, and whilst I was in there, had that conversation with them about policies and procedures and things they've got in place, and they're like, oh no, just do the talk, just do what we've asked you to come in for, just talk to the employees, explain to them how they can help themselves. But as an employer, they're not putting the things in place that they need to do to actually look after their employees as well. And I've said to them, you need to have line managers in these meetings. They need to be educated. They need to understand what it's like for an employee. So like you said, well, allowances. And it is a little bit of a controversial subject sometimes, because people say, well, why should we make allowances for it as well, which I think it is unfair. Because it's a process of life. We all go through it. Everyone we'll all go through it in one guise or another. And as you said, I know a lot of people who've worked their way up through the business who've had to leave, as you said, because they just could not hold down a job and cope with the menopause symptoms at the same time. And it's just really sad to see it happening, and it's still happening. I think despite the government guidelines now which say that they have to put policies and procedures in place, there's still a lot of companies that don't, unfortunately.
Bonnie, I've sorry Helen, to interrupt. I've had a 30-year career in large financial services organisations, predominantly worked in HR, training and development, and worked alongside HR generalists, where they are responsible for implementing all the policies, procedures within these companies. So that's what you're talking about, Bonnie, putting the policies in place. If they can put policies in place for workplace bullying, harassment and bullying policies, mental health, supporting mental health, whistleblowing, all this kind of thing. Why can't they put in policies, take this seriously, and put in, because it is affecting people's careers.
It's so true. One of the companies that I went into before I actually went and did some sessions with their employees, I'd said to them about their policies, and maybe you need to look at putting some things in place and let's work together. And they were like, no, it's okay, just come in and do what you need to do. And one of the talks that I was doing, there's probably about 50 women in there, and the head of HR was in that meeting as well. And a couple of women actually stood up, and I couldn't have planned it better if I tried. They stood up and pointed at this head of HR and said, what are you going to do about this? What are you going to do to help us? And still nothing has been done, which I think is sad.
Penny,
I can't remember, is the menopause counted as a long-term condition in the because aren't companies obliged to do something to accommodate people who have long-term conditions?
I suspect it probably could be, but I don't know whether it is.
I think it's one of those things that's up for discussion at the moment. There is a requirement of companies to put policies in place to support women going through the menopause. But as I said, that I think a lot of them are still dragging their heels on it because they're not being pulled up on it.
Until it hits them financially,
Mm-hmm.
they probably won't. That's just
Yeah.
that's a very negative interview,
and possibly hiding behind COVID and lockdowns and furlough. A lot of more people are working from home as well, so they've probably put it on a back burner for now.
Yeah. But it is one of those areas that is definitely worth looking at and considering, because it was, this was a while ago, it was documented about how much money, I think it was something like, I want to say 30,000, but I have a feeling it might have been more than that, per woman that left to replace them. And of course then you've got the loss of knowledge, the loss of skill out of that, which is probably priceless. You probably can't put a price on that, out of the workforce or a particular job. So I think when it starts to have more of an impact, or if more men start taking time out because they're having symptoms, because men do go through a form of menopause as well. It's not just the women. Most men don't necessarily notice that because their decline is quite gradual from about the age of 30 onwards. With women, it's more sort of run, smack. So it's more, it's sort of more, comes to more of an abrupt end with women, whereas with men it's a lot slower over a longer period of time.
I didn't know that, Helen.
I didn't.
Can you explain a bit more about that, please?
Well, we go into that in quite some depth in the actual full day's training, but
Right.
men's progesterone levels start to drop very slowly from the age of 30, around 30 onwards.
Right.
Which is why you still get men in their 80s, because they still have testosterone and progesterone left. They still can father children into their 80s and further on if they choose to. I don't know.
I don't think there's a terminal point for us at all.
No, I don't think there is. But that's why most men don't realise that they have symptoms like women do, but some do.
Wait, well, I see Ian after this training explains his moodiness over the last few months.
Well, yeah, they can experience some mood swings. There's a lot of symptoms.
Trust me, you get that information out there, the loads of blokes will be using it as an excuse. Go on.
Yeah, they probably will actually. But I wouldn't
Put it
actually.
on my list now.
It's the andropause. No, I wouldn't actually market it that way with men. I'd just listen to what they're coming in for and then go, right, I know what's going on with you, and take it out of the programme and use it. I wouldn't tell them.
First question would be, when did you buy your Porsche?
Yes. and how many motorbikes have you bought? That could be it.
Can't say that.
Don't mention motorbikes, Helen.
Oh, let's get off that topic.
No, we had ours pinched on Saturday morning from outside the house. Oh, we've had an awful blooming weekend. Sorry.
Okay.
We went
What
out
was
on
it?
it on Friday night, parked it up outside the house Friday night. Ian got up 5 o'clock Saturday morning. The dog woke him up, went downstairs, looked out the window, it'd gone.
Oh gosh.
5:30 we're on with police.
Well, I hope you get it back.
And they had to do the EFT tapping with him at 6 o'clock on Saturday morning to tame his anger down, and a bit of hypnotherapy.
What kind of bike was it?
Carl, it was it's only 9 months old. It's a 125. He bought it for me to do my test on.
Okay.
I was just
Anyway,
wondering if it was a bit of an exotic or something like that.
Not yet. No,
I'd put the word out through the clubs to see what I could find, see if I can find it.
Oh, I'll put my email address on the chat. Thank you, Carl.
Always ask around.
Okay.
Nice.
Thank you.
So
You're Huddersfield, right? Sorry.
no, that's okay. If you contact each other afterwards, that'd be
my
great.
district.
Yeah.
So.
I'm just going to put your message in there, Carl. Thank you. Sorry,
Okay.
Helen.
That's okay. So when we are looking at menopause symptoms, as I said to you, we're looking at mood swings, the hot flushes, the night sweats. We're looking at anxiety. We're looking at irritability. Obviously, no more periods, or not irritable ones, irregular periods. Eventually, they stop altogether. When they stop, that's when you are officially in menopause. So there are a lot more symptoms to the menopause than just those few. Now, if you haven't already received the menopause checklist, then you will do tomorrow. I know some of you have probably already had it because it was sent out. It should have been sent out earlier on today on an email, but I know some of you have signed up today, so you might have missed it. Don't worry, it will come out on the next email with the replay. Okay. And if you still don't get it, please get in touch with me and I'll send it to you. But I'm pretty sure I've set it up to go out tomorrow with the replay. So when we look at things like the menopause, we are looking at obviously nutrients as well. So for general symptoms, we are looking at, and I'm only going to choose a couple of well-known nutrients that are good because there's more than just what I'm telling you. Okay, so you're looking at the B vitamins, vitamin C, and omega-3. There are obviously going to be more than just those, but those are three really good ones. And if we're looking for the production of progesterone, because your body, you can't eat anything with progesterone in, you have to provide your body with the nutrients it needs to make progesterone. Okay, so again, we're looking at one of the B vitamins. We're looking at B6, we're looking at zinc and magnesium. I love magnesium because all you need is some Epsom salts, have a nice me time in the bath and a few Epsom salts in there, and your body absorbs the magnesium through your skin. You can take magnesium supplements. There's Bonnie pointed out earlier on that magnesium is one of the popular things at the moment. You can get a sleep spray that's got magnesium in as well. Apparently that's supposed to be very good for some ladies. You spray it on your skin and just rub it in, and then apparently you're supposed to get a really good night's sleep. There's lots and lots of different things that people can do, that people can take. Some it will work for some it won't. It's the same with everything. Well, that includes hypnosis, that includes CBT, it includes everything across the board, same as tablets, different supplements. They work for some, but they don't work for others. It's because we're also uniquely individual.
I started taking magnesium first time in my life about 2 or 3 months ago. I've found them very, very beneficial. I've always been a multivitamin person. B6 and particularly like for the bones, and magnesium. The only thing I would say about magnesium, when you first start taking it, it makes you a bit loose. But in actual fact, it does help you stay regular, which I think is a good thing because you're getting rid of the toxins.
Yeah. If you wanted to look into it, Penny, you'd have to go onto Amazon. I don't know all the other details, but you'd have to go onto Amazon. Amazon's my answer to most things because they have everything on there. If you were to suggest clients have anything to eat, I would suggest sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds and almonds, because they contain really good nuts and nutrients, the three of them together. But that's just a suggestion. If they want to know more, or you feel that they have deeper issues, I would always recommend they go and see a nutritionalist like Bonnie, because we're not nutritionally trained unless you actually are.
This is a sleep spray that I got from Amazon that is very, very highly recommended. I don't know whether it is the one that you're talking about.
I don't know, you can't see the writing.
I'll put it in the comments.
Okay.
It's called This Works, and it does. You spray it spray it on your pillow as opposed to on your person.
Oh, okay.
And it definitely does work.
I think the point of it is lifestyle. I think the biggest point about menopause is lifestyle, and it is about making lots of little tiny tweaks here, there, and everywhere that will add up to make a difference. Individually, they might only make a small difference, but when you add different things up, it makes a much bigger difference. You know, when we talk about the common triggers, there are lots of common triggers. Now, one of the biggest triggers is stress. So if your client is highly stressed, doing hypnosis with them is going to start to tick that box before you even go any further. Because we know fine well that hypnosis helps people to learn to relax and to start coming down off that high status that they're already in up here. They start to learn to relax, they start to come down because they're bringing their stress levels down. Their symptoms start to improve, especially the hot flushes. But you also have to remember that stress is known as a hormone stealer, because when we are talking very basics here, stress is part of it comes down to survival of the species. If we are stressed, there's something wrong. If there's something wrong, we could be in danger here. If we're in danger, it's survival of the species. So all the resources from the body get diverted to make cortisol, the main stress hormone, as much as you need so that you can have a fight or you can run away so that you can survive. Which is why when you're working with stress clients, that they're often the ones in the office that are coming down with all the coughs, colds, flu, bugs, you name it, they're the ones that come down with it. Because their immune system is depleted, because the resources are being diverted away so that they can have that fight or they can run away. So, and of course, one of the things that's depleted with that is the production of hormones as well. So it's kind of like trying to make a lovely big thick chocolate cake that's nice and moist, but you've only got a third of the ingredients that you actually need. So it's going to come out a bit like a flat pancake by the time you're finished. So alcohol is another one that's quite often a common trigger for hot flushes and night sweats in particular. That's probably because we tend to drink in the evening. So things like red wine is a really common one. So all you need to do for that one is just to change the alcoholic drink. And if red wine is a trigger, they will know more or less straight away within a night or two. It'll be really obvious. And if that is their trigger, then the simple thing is, right, well, if that is your trigger, you know now, so you have the choice. This is about giving ladies in particular their choices back, because quite often they feel like it's being done to them rather than they have a choice over it. That's not the case. The vast majority of this, especially with the hot flushes and the night sweats, they can do something about. They just don't realize that they can. Once ladies start to realize that they do have control over this, or a huge amount of control over this, there are things that they can do to improve things, then it's a game changer. It brings back that empowerment, that feeling of me again, because quite often you can ladies get lost in the whole maelstrom of menopause and all the symptoms. But once we say to them, right, okay, you know that red wine is the trigger. You know now that if you have a glass of red wine, you are going to be in for a rough night, or the chances are you're going to be in for a rough night. So now you have the choice. And you actually have to tell them that. You've got the choice now. You can have that glass of red wine. Nobody's telling you you can't. You can have it, but you also know now, you're aware that if you do, you could be in for a rough night. Most women will go, right, I'm going to find something else I can drink. why not? Gin is often the answer, I have to say. Sometimes I think I sound like a right alcoholic. I don't drink that much gin, but I do know gin is often the answer.
Well, there's so many flavours of gin now.
There
well.
is.
Yeah.
There
Can you just
absolutely.
ask something, Helen? Just going off on a tangent a little bit, how much does thyroid disease have an impact? And the reason I ask is because I have suffered with hypothyroidism for 30 odd years, which we know is hormonal based as well. And if your thyroid's out, and thyroid is more prevalent in women than in men as well. So how does that correlate with menopause as well?
It's going to depend on the individual, and it's going to depend on the severity. But with menopause, everything affects everything. So it will likely have an impact. I can't say for sure that it would, but it is probably likely to. But you'd probably have to go and speak to you. I would think you'd be under your GP for that.
Yeah. I'm just thinking back 5 years ago, I always knew when my thyroid had gone out of balance, when my thyroxine needed looking at, whether I'd moved house or, you know, whatever was going on, stress in my life. We've talked about, you know, stress in work and everything. I didn't know much about menopause 5 years ago. You know, like everybody, a lot of people just think, I'm not even going to think about it until it starts happening to me. And I got to the stage where I was having 20 hot flushes a day at work. Yeah, horrendous. But at first I thought it was my thyroid. So yeah, it was a long time, and I went to the doctors and they did a full blood test, and I was perimenopausal.
Yeah.
Perimenopausal, yeah. Okay.
So one of the ladies that I worked with on the actual trial that I ran, she was one of those ladies. She was having hot flushes so bad that she actually wanted to claw her skin off. And she was definitely getting up 2 or 3 times a night, dripping with sweat. She'd have to change the bed. She was a really extreme case. And we managed to reduce them right down so that she could get a comfortable night's sleep. But one of her biggest triggers was red wine. The other biggest trigger that she was dealing with was stress. So she had to sort of make adjustments to her lifestyle, because it's all about balance. All along the line, it's about balance in every single way that you can think of. Tiredness can also be another trigger for hot flushes as well, and night sweats in particular. So that if you are not getting enough sleep, or if you're starting to get tired towards the end of the day, you might notice that you're getting more hot flushes, and that could very well be because you are tired, you're not getting enough sleep, and all those sorts of things. Okay, any more questions? No? Okay.
Will there be? Will you be uploading this tomorrow?
Yes, you'll get an email with a link to the replay in it tomorrow.
Fantastic. I'm afraid I've got to dive off in about 2 minutes.
Okay,
I've got
no worries.
Strange enough, motorbike club meeting.
Cool.
Me too. I need to go in a minute as well, Helen. Sorry.
Yep, that's okay. No worries. Thank you for joining us. We'll do a little bit of hypnosis so you can get a taste of the kind of thing that you can do in hypnosis with those clients. Okay. So if you want to join in, please feel free. If you don't want to, then that's absolutely fine. Okay. So this is just a taster. So get yourself, so sit back nice and
See you
comfortably.
later, guys.
See you
So,
later.
thank you very much, and this will help my
Bye.
clients out a lot, I'm sure. Thank you.
Hey, Carl, thank you. Drop me an email, won't you?
Will do. I'll drop you one later on. Get your
Thank you.
details of your bike. I'll
Oh,
ask around the
come
northern
on.
clubs and see if anybody knows.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right.
Bye.
So all I want you to do is just close your eyes and just take in a nice, deep, calm breath. And as you let out that breath, I want you to let out any of those frustrations, any of those tensions. I want you to breathe in a sense of calm. And breathe out any stress that you're feeling. And as you breathe in that lovely cool air through your nostrils, you can feel that peace beginning to settle inside. So you can carry on breathing in that lovely cool air and that calm, that peace. You can carry on breathing and taking yourself down. With every outward breath, you let go of any unwanted warmth. With every inward breath, you breathe in that lovely cool air. You can feel it circulating around your body. And you breathe out that extra warmth. As you take yourself down and down, deeper and deeper. And I wonder in your mind if you can take yourself down to a beautiful lakeside. This lake is so peaceful and so still. It's that time of day where the sun's beginning to sink. You're surrounded by beautiful mountains and that beautiful lake. Maybe there's trees all around. And you're standing right on the shoreline where your feet are just touching the water. You can feel that lovely cool water just around your toes. And as the water very slowly and gently moves, it takes away any extra warmth, just cools you down. And as it cools you down, you feel that sense of peace and calm. Your whole body begins to feel cooler as that coolness from your feet spreads up through your legs, up through the rest of your body. You might even feel a gentle breeze where you are. And as you just take in the scenery around, that beautiful still lake, and that gorgeous sun setting, beautiful colours, those vivid oranges and pinks, the yellows. And as that sun sinks deeper and deeper, down and down, you notice how it changes moment by moment. And you feel cool, you feel calm, you feel so very peaceful as you keep drifting down, down and down, deeper and deeper. You might even notice a bird just flying across the top of the water. And the reflection is so clear in that water. You can see the mountains around you reflected in the stillness of the lake. Something catches your eye as you look at that lake, just in front of your toes. Maybe it's something that's shining. So you can bend down and put your arms, your hands into that lovely cool water. And you can feel that coolness spreading all up your arms, around your neck, your face, cooling you down, your chest. And as you gently scrape away and pull that object out, whatever it is, you feel even cooler. Maybe it's a bottle. As you pull it out, you realise it's definitely in a bottle. And you pull it further and further. And as you pull it out, you can feel the coolness of the glass in your hands and the coolness of the water as it slowly drips away. And that sun continues to sink deeper and deeper, down and down. And as you look at that bottle in your hand, you realise that there's a note inside. How curious. So you can take the lid off. You've got to really shake it a little bit and twiddle with your fingers to pull the note out. And as you pull that note out, you realise that your name is written on the outside of the note. Now that really is curious. And as you open the note, you realise there's a message or a word there for you. It might say patience. It might say balance. It might say something else. It might say cool and calm. But on some level, you'll understand why you've got that and what it's about. And as that sun sinks down now below the horizon, the day starts to turn to night, and that beautiful dark inky blue starts to become more intense, and those beautiful silvery stars start to shine so brightly, so beautifully in that silvery moon. You feel a much deeper sense of peace and calm and coolness. And that feeling of coolness and calm, you can take with you into the rest of the day and tomorrow, even the next day. As I prepare now to bring you back to the here and now, feeling cooler, calmer, and more comfortable. So 5, 4, feel that energy flooding back in through your body. 3, 2, and 1. Feeling cool and calm. You can open your eyes. Well done, ladies. Well done. So, if you wanted to take part in the full training, the next full training is the 25th of September. That's the core training, which focuses on just the hot flushes and the night sweats and sorting those out. We also do a lot of work. We do more in-depth work like we've done today, but more in-depth work in what we've done today, we've covered today, and other things that we'll be covering. That's the core training on the 25th. If you've already done the core training, because I know some of you have already done the core training, the advanced training is on the Sunday, the following day on the 26th, and that covers other issues like weight, loss and gain. We talk about mood swings, sleep, vaginal issues, and all that sort of thing. We also cover in both days, we also cover the male andropause and their symptoms and some things that they can do to help them. So if you're interested in any of that, then you can please just let me know. It is an 8 a.m. UK start, but we finish at 2 o'clock, so it's 8 till 2 on both days. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions before we go?
And how much is it, please?
Each day is £177. So if you want both days, it's 354.
Thank you.
Okay, you do get your training manual comes with that, with all the scripts in it that I use. You also get the replay from the day's training. There's also a marketing replay that you have access to as well to help you with marketing, and just a lot of general support as well. There are lots of other bits that I can't remember at the top of my head, to be perfectly honest. Okay.
Helen, the script that you just gave just now, which was very nice, is that in the manual?
No, because I've only just made it up off the top of my head.
I thought I didn't recognise it. I thought that was very, very pleasant. That's lovely. And I thought obviously haven't read it, and then I thought I'd better ask you just to make sure.
Yeah, no, I just made that one up as I went along. So, it's to give you an idea of the kind of terminology you can use with those clients. We change the terminology to how we want them to start thinking. So we want them to think about being cool and to let go of that extra heat, which is why we tell them to breathe in that lovely cool air, but to release or to let go of that extra warmth, that unwanted warmth, because we don't want them to be freezing on the inside. We want them to be cool, which is why I've termed it extra warmth, because the body does need a little bit of warmth. So if we term it the extra warmth, the work that you don't want or you don't need, we can let go of that, and that's quite safe for you to do so. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, so you will be getting some information on the email that goes out tomorrow with the link about the training if you want to take part in that. Okay.
Lovely, thank you.
Just another quick question. If you can't do the 25th and 26th, when's your next training? Have you already planned it or not?
No, my next training will be next year for this. Right. This is the last live training that I'm doing in 21. If you want to do the training but you can't make those dates, then you can always have the distance learning pack, which is exactly the same. It's the replay from one of the training sessions with all exactly the same material in that you will get. And then you contact me when you're done for a one-to-one so that we can have a go over any questions that you've got.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions?
Ellen,
Penny.
that second study you were talking about.
It's a newspaper article. You'd have to Google it, Penny. I can't remember which one it is. I don't think it might be the Independent.
Yeah.
It's a recent one, so you should be able to find it quite easily.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay, I think we'll stop the recording.